I don't know where you're at, but are you in a war zone right now? Is Peoria under attack?
I mean, like, it's like they're doing training for Top Gun outside of here, Maverick's going supersonic. And then I feel like when I was living in Tacoma and those big transports would fly in for the fly in over to Fort Lewis and Joint Base McChord there, and they'd come over they'd be like, they you come out, you look outside and it looks like Con Air is flying in, and it's, I don't know what the hell they're doing. There's an Air Force base around here somewhere.
It sounds like Peoria is under attack. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Ryan Divish Show. It is brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, proudly serving the community since 1941, located in Tacoma's historic Proctor District. They have been family-owned and operated for 40 years. Book your next reservation at chaletbowl.com for the best in local fun. They want us to come out there, so we got to figure out a time to go when you're free. I think they want to do like a meet and greet where they take pictures with you.
Oh no, we can't have that.
Yes, but they want other people to come. Well, we're gonna make it a party, just like
you want to be nice to people.
Yes, you have to be nice to people. You're gonna be required to actually be nice, and
I want more money if I got to do that.
Holy cow. You could talk to Reggie.
I ain't no Walmart greeter. I need some money for that stuff.
Hey, I'll be one of those Walmart greeters. Of course, Divish is in spring training. He joins us in the Limback Lumber Studios. We are what are we? 15 days away from the start of the opening season here in baseball. God, it happens fast.
Yeah, it's quick. There are days where it's going slow, like a drive from Peoria to Surprise on Bell Road, where I want to jerk the wheel into oncoming traffic because it's so slow. But I mean, like, you do that, it's going so slow that you probably won't hit anything because it's like, it's kind of crazy. And I'm kind of thinking when you just said that, like, oh shit, I got a bunch of stuff to do for
man,
season preview.
I have so much. I was thinking about it today of how much stuff I've got. Other stuff I got to do. And I'm like, my God, it just happens fast, and you keep pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that. You get kind of caught up in the that you have time or whatever. Yeah. Then the rhythm happens and games start happening, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's getting closer and getting closer. So, no, it's at some point though, like, it'll be good to get to games that really count and really matter, and you're not like looking at it and trying to project what you're seeing at spring training as to whether that's actually going to play in MLB, in an MLB game.
Let's get the latest on Mitch Haniger. Sounds like they avoided a scare with him.
Oh, you mean Garver?
Oh, excuse me.
You got to quit on the bullet bourbon. You got to go to something a little bit.
Hey, I can't quit bullet. I'll never quit it.
No, Garver took like a 92 mile per hour fastball off the hand. It was mostly kind of like the right here. It's great radio, but like the bottom part of your hand.
We're not on radio anymore, you idiot.
Yeah, the fleshy pad or whatever it is. I don't know whether it's video
fleshy
or not.
Pad. I've got plenty of fleshy pads, so I know where it's at. But it sounds like Garver. I mean, there probably was a worry initially, right? And then, they're okay.
Well, anytime like you get hit there in the hand, like. Those bones are so fragile too that you can break. As somebody who's broken his right hand 5 times, I can tell you, like, they break easy. So,
wait, excuse me. Let's pause the show. How have you broken your right hand 5 times?
I don't. Well, I'm only 2 from punching things, but like.
What are the other 3 from baseball? Getting hit on it?
I broke it one time playing pickup basketball in college. Like, I got plowed into, and my hand slapped off the guy's. The back of my hand slapped off the guy's kneecap. It was the head basketball coach at Dickinson, and I had to go tell my baseball coach that I couldn't practice because I broke my hand playing basketball. And the baseball coach is, "Why were you playing basketball? You're 5'2". And I played. Point. Yeah, and so I broke my hand in that game, and I knew something was really wrong because my finger was kind of displaced, and it was like this, you know, it was noon ball, and we're playing some of the coaches. Like, we're playing the head basketball coach and the volleyball coach. And I had two of my friends were on the basketball team, and they're just screaming at me to stay in the game because I was like, you know, you gotta stay in this. It's like, you know, game point. And I'm like, there's something wrong with my hand. So I might have done damage to it more. And then the fine orthopedist in Havre, Montana, because like I was scheduled to go back to Montana 2 days later. And my hand was so swollen that they couldn't cast it anyway. So they casted it there. And he said there might be a minor deformity. And now, like, if you look, my right hand, my fingers don't go apart.
Yeah, I see that.
And like, this is so like this
the
is
middle finger and the ring finger on his right hand do not separate.
Yeah, and then look at how close my pinky is. So this is how much I can open my right hand. Like, I can't open it anymore from all the breaks, and then there's no knuckles. So yeah, I don't know. I punched a dugout wall my last college game too, and
that's good.
Mature. So yeah, I got stepped on playing football. Like, I'm not very.
Just everything happens to that right hand. So Garver's good.
Yeah, he's fine. I think. I mean, like, they don't think he need a scan or anything. I mean, you won't see him playing for a few days, but you know, he's fine, and you know, I mean, like, he has been swinging it well down here, and
yeah, how's he looked, Ryan, overall?
I mean, I think he's got 6 hits and 3 of them are homers, and he's hitting the ball pretty hard. You know, I talked to some scouts. They think his bat still isn't like the fastest thing in the world or anything like that, but he's, you know, 30 some years old, but he knows, you know, kind of knows who he is as a hitter and stuff, and he knows what he needs to do. And they do feel like he looks better than he did a year ago at this time, or he was really searching for something.
How do you think Wilson's going to handle him? I'm just curious about going into the season. How much do you think he catches?
Well, I mean, every year they say that they need to catch Cal Raleigh less, and then every year he catches like 155 games, it seems like. I mean, my guess is he'll catch once or twice a week. You know, I'm sure he'll catch George Kirby when Kirby comes back, because they worked well together, but they'll have to catch him once or twice a week. And the question will be whether or not they use him as a DH and run 2 catchers, because, you know, you're kind of playing with fire when you do that too often. Like, I see it like once a week and extra time a week, but you know, in talking with DePoto, and I wrote that story kind of on Hanniger, but also kind of mentioning the DH stuff, they're going to go with whoever they feel like is hitting the ball well and gives them the best chance to score some runs and be more of a viable offense. So if that's Garver, then they'll run 2 catchers sometimes, and, you know, hope that one of them doesn't get hurt in the middle of the game, so you have a pitcher bat. That's kind of how you're going to have to do it.
But I guess, how much say will Wilson have in this decision making of like how much to play him and to not play him? I mean, again, you got a former catcher, and I know Service was a former catcher, but, you know, you've written about, everybody's talked about the relationship between Wilson and Raleigh, and I'm just wondering now, with Wilson in his first full year, you know, will that workload on Cal Raleigh change a bit? I guess is that his call, as where Peoria is getting bombed right now? Is that his call, or is that above his head?
I mean, it's somewhat it's a mixture of both. Like, they can tell, you know, because like they have the high performance staff and stuff, and so, you know, Rob Scheidegger and the training staff can just go and say, hey, Cal's really beaten down right now. You need to get him a day off, and, you know, not even DH him. And I mean, that's something they could do. You know, I don't think it's everybody just think that Jerry makes the lineup, but like they do, the general manager does hold like the idea of playing time, you know, and this isn't like, this isn't just only the Mariners, this is everybody. Like, they'll say, oh, look, this is our starter here, that we've set up the roster this way, that's how you're going to do it, and the manager has to comply. You know, it's not like on Moneyball where they, you know, they have to trade a guy so they stop playing, you know, like that's not how it works anymore. So, I mean, I think Dan, you know, there is some leeway in between how Dan wants to use his guys, but if DePoto thinks that they're playing Cal too much behind the plate and that they're running the risk of injury, he absolutely can just tell Dan, hey, we need to get this guy days off, you know, and Dan can be overruled in that way. So I think, you know, I think how they'll use Cal, it'll be dependent on off days and if they want to put 2 catchers in there. Like, if there's, the one thing is they actually have some DHs too that can help or whatever. So like, if you really truly wanted to give Cal an off day where he doesn't do anything, you can do that a little bit more easily than a year ago at this time.
They've got plenty of options to DH if Garver catches.
Yeah.
Now, whether those options are good, sure, we can debate that. But there are plenty of bodies to DH. I mean, they have a plethora of DHs.
Yeah.
Not like they have to. It's not like they have to run him out there unless he's just got he's got a hot bat and you.
Yeah, and that's what you do though.
To.
You can do that. It's a hot bat, and like the one thing is they have, Blake Hunt, who's already on the roster. He's sitting in Tacoma. If they really needed to bring in a third catcher, they could do it real quickly. And so I think that's the option. That's what they tried to do last year. I mean, this isn't a situation where we're going to carry a third catcher just because, Garver is a backup catcher. He's going to catch sometimes. They know that. That's his role. I mean, you're trying to maximize value for what you're paying him, and that's how you're going to get value out of it. Because, I think they just believe they're not going to use him as a full-time DH unless he just hits at a rate where he forces them to do that and forces them to change the roster. But, to me, they'll give every opportunity to everybody else and mix and match a bit.
Where are we at with George Kirby? This is the third or fourth time he's kind of, I think, experienced something like this. Give us the latest on where we're at with Kirby right now.
He's still on no-throw status right now. I would imagine here in the next week or two, or the next week, they'll probably put a ball in his hands and see how he feels. But, when you kind of have that inflammation or whatever, they just kind of shut you down first and do some treatment. I don't know if he got a PRP shot in there or not to kind of help the healing process, but a lot of times you go on some medication to get the inflammation down and everything like that, and then you rest it, then you start doing strengthening exercises to build up around the issue, and then you put a ball in your hand. So I mean, the one thing is he was pretty built up already in terms of throwing, so he's not starting from square one, but with every kind of week that you're out, then that means another 2 weeks that you have to build up. So I'm not expecting him back until maybe May 1st at the earliest. I think they realize that he'll probably miss the first couple of weeks of the season. And, the one thing is you don't need to rush him. Make sure he's built up to where you want him. And it's not a situation where, we're going to use him for 3 innings. So we're trying to build him up in games, big league games. That would be stupid.
Give me the concern level they should have right now with him.
I maybe 2 out of 10, 2 or 3 out of 10. This is just shoulder fatigue that he got this when he was right after he was drafted, and he was in that weird summer camp deal, during COVID. Then he had it, I think, in 21 or 22. Yeah. It's just your shoulder gets tired and you just kind of feel fatigue. And then part of it is when it gets like that and you keep throwing, then it gets inflamed and you build some inflammation up. But there's if you notice, Hollander was very adamant, the MRI came back clean. This isn't like with Brash, where when they said with Brash was the MRI didn't show anything new, because they already knew the UCL was damaged, because everybody has damage to the UCL, but they already knew what Brash's issues were.
Right.
They came back and said, no, there's no structural damage, there's nothing wrong, and honestly, as somebody who's dealt with some of that stuff, he wouldn't have been able to even throw the way he was throwing prior to, if he had those sorts of issues. So, I mean, the thing is he could go out and throw and he'd be fine. It was just when the next day he wouldn't feel great, or he wouldn't bounce back because of the inflammation in there. And I think that's where they're at.
How has he taken the news? Have you got a chance to talk to him yet?
I haven't seen him. I was giving him his space for a while. I was going to kind of look for him today, but George doesn't handle this stuff very well. In the sense of he gets pissed easy at stuff like that. I mean, he expects to pitch. That's the one thing. It was the whole misnomer of his comments about getting removed in the 7th or whatever. It was a dig because they'd always removed him in the 7th against his protests. And that's why he said it that way. I don't think he articulated the way he wanted to, but it wasn't that he didn't believe in that. It was he was tired. It was more well, you never let me pitch in the 7th ever, and then all of a sudden you expect me to do it. What the hell? why am I out there if you never?
Right.
I wasn't good, and all these other times where I was rolling, He
wants the ball. I mean, he would if it was up to him, right? He would just pitch through this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He didn't think he needed this stuff, but it's smart that they told him, hey, you do. But it took a lot of people to convince him otherwise. You never know. He could be off somewhere by himself throwing a baseball against the wall. We don't really know, George.
Probably. You know what? I wouldn't put it past him for sure.
Go look
Hancock,
around like local schools around here that's got a chalk with a strike zone out there, and he's out there just listening to his weird dubstep and flipping baseballs against the wall.
you know what? It's our alley isn't big enough, so I don't think my kid could do it. But I mean, the dent I would have in my middle garage door. Just, I mean, every kid's got that. Just peppering the thing with tennis balls and whatever.
That's why you gotta go. Yeah, you gotta, like, if there's a local school nearby where they got the brick wall or something place with a brick wall, that's where you go.
Yeah, that's smart. All right, the Hancock. So Hancock will take his spot. How is he looked? Obviously, he's highly regarded, and he's a good insurance policy to have. But he slides right in. How has he looked so far in spring?
It's looked fine. You know, I mean, like, yeah, it hasn't looked overwhelming or anything. The thing with Emerson is like there is a drop off between like those 5 guys to what he is or has been. You know, he doesn't have that kind of wipeout stuff. He didn't have a put away pitch that, like, you know, he can go to and get a strikeout or a swing and miss. He relies more on ground balls. You know, he's throwing the sinker. He has worked on a sweeper slider that it is, you know, has some horizontal movement. He needs that because everything he kind of throws is up and down between the sinker, and he has like the gyro slider, which is more of a, like, it doesn't spin as much, almost like a cutter, you know. And then he's got a really good changeup, but he needed something that's kind of horizontal, changes eye levels, and so that's what the sweeper is, and it's been better. I mean, like, it's probably the most viable breaking ball he's had since he's been drafted.
Ryan? Who's the next guy after him?
It was probably Logan Evans or Casey Lawrence. I mean, if you wanted to go experience, Casey Lawrence can step in and handle it, or Jonathan Diaz. Logan Evans has the most talent of those guys. He just, you know, he's never pitched above Double-A. He'll be a Tacoma.
Evans was the guy that the last year they flirted with making a reliever.
Yeah, and he just didn't. Listening to him talk about it just didn't work, like how his process worked and everything. And the one thing was his stuff didn't tick up the way they thought it would, and so they moved him back. And I think also, you know, it wasn't going to be a permanent reliever thing. They just thought maybe he could help them last year at some point because their bullpen was so beat up. So he's probably the next up, and he looked better the other day when he pitched. He struggled a little bit early, but I thought the last couple of days he's looked better. Last outing.
Hey, tell the guy he doesn't need to honk right away. The big old semi truck. What the hell's going on? God, there's just, I mean, we got
Cisco
bombers,
delivery. Yeah.
Cisco deliveries. You picked the best spot to do this show.
It's like I didn't want to do the podcast in the media room. And
I know this is like, you know what this is like? It's old school Jeff Baker live days.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I have my computer on a chair and I'm sitting outside right now.
It's just like Jeff Baker live. The man was ahead of his time.
You need an exclamation point when you say Jeff Baker live.
I know. Yeah, you do. Okay, let me. I'm going to rephrase that question because I know. Is Logan Evans the next star pitcher? Like, who's the next? Like, who's the next Kirby and Gilbert, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu? Is there one that is the next up and coming guy?
Not that can be an immediate help.
Well, it doesn't have to be an immediate help in a year.
Oh yeah, but even then, I mean, I think that the kid they took last year, the 2 kids they took last year, Durangelo,
switch pitcher.
Yeah, and that's kind of a misnomer because he doesn't switch pitch the entire time. Like, he's much better from. Well, he's much better from the right side than he is from the left side. So, Can I stop you real quick?
Yeah. What does his glove look like? He can do it. How are the rules on that? He can't do it. He can't switch mid hitter, right?
I don't think he's switch mid hitter. He has to declare.
He has to declare for a batter.
It's like it's not a 6-finger glove, but it's got that weird pocket where it's on both sides.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious what it looked like. All right. So you got him, and who else?
Was it Ryan Stout, I believe is the kid's name, the second round pick. He's the one that everybody's been raving about. I mean, the kid is he looks like his face looks 12 years old, and his body is like he looks like He's
grown
basically,
man.
yeah, he's like the big dumper. He's like the Cal version of a pitcher from the lower half side. So, I mean,
What's
he
his name
throws
again?
Ryan Stout, I believe is what his name is.
All right.
And he throws really well. And like people have been raving about him. He'll pitch in that prospects game on Friday. Him and Durangelo and Logan Evans and a lot of those guys will pitch in that prospect.
Yeah, I
game.
want to get I'm looking forward to that. And people, I want to get to that because they're doing, people that don't know. There's this. What do they call it again? What's it?
Spring breakout or something like that.
Spring breakout. So it's all the young prospects for these teams will all play on Friday, and the Mariners are playing the Guardians. So you're going to see Durangelo. You're going to see you'll see Cole Young, Colt Emerson, right? You're going to see Montez.
Yeah. Montez. Yeah, all those guys are going to be in there. Harry Ford will be the starting catcher.
Awesome.
Like I'd assume Logan Evans starts that game, and then Durangelo and Ryan Stout, Michael Morales, some of these other pitchers will all pitch. And you'll look and it'll probably be like Colt Emerson at shortstop, Cole Young at second, Ben Williamson at third, Montez, Ty Pete will be in the outfield, and Montez and the only
Pete's
person
they got Pete at center field, right?
Yeah, they're moving him to outfield on a full-time basis. And then Farmello is the only one of their top 12 that isn't playing because he's coming back from knee surgery. So they'll
if they play
if they play just walking by.
Who?
Shannon.
Shannon. Well, I can't even see her sit parking. If they play well on Friday, people are going to lose their minds. Why aren't these guys up now?
Well, it's like Emerson. Emerson's first hit was like a 400-foot bomb with 112, and everybody's it should be up. And I am amazed at the level of maturity that kid has.
Yeah.
But he's also 19. I mean, he's 19 years old. What were you doing at 19? I was doing beer bongs and
sniffing butt. That's what.
I was doing beer bongs and getting fat.
Hey, Robin Yount played at 18.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm just
saying.
Do I think that Cole Emerson could debut by age 20? Yeah, next season, not this season, but next season. If J.P. Crawford was to go down for an injury, do I think that Colt Emerson would be there? Yeah, I do, because he's that advanced. He's that good. Yeah. And what's crazy is I think that Felnine Celestin is a better defensive player than him.